Hey everyone, I'm here to work on this beech today. You can see from the looks of it that it's a little bit shrubbery looking. I'd like this to be a little bit more like a tree. I need to spread out the canopy a little bit more, so I'm going to be taking some of these branches and I'm going to be pulling them down some. I'm going to show you a technique that I use having to do with guy wires, because there's been a lot of interest in the guy wire technique that I've seen from feedback from Instagram and some other sources. So some of the feedback was, doesn't this hurt the tree to do this guy wire technique that I use? And I'll show you why it doesn't hurt the tree and also how I do the guy wire technique. Spiders again. So what I do is I actually use a wood screw and I use a wire to go between the trunk and the branch. So let's get working on that. I'll start with the lowest branch. I do want to spread this branch out, so I'm going to find a good attachment point for that, which happens to be still a rather thick part of the branch. And I'm going to find where I want to bend this to. I actually want to bend it roughly straight down. What I'm going to look for is, if you can see right here, there's a little knot here. And if I put the screw right into this knot, it'll be just the same as if this knot was healing on its own. I have some other options down here lower also. And actually I'm going to use this one. This one is right near the deadwood and this will be a perfect spot for it. So we're just going to take and screw this in like so. And I'm using a relatively short screw. It's about that long. So that way it doesn't go too far into the trunk. I don't really need it to be that deep. This is plenty long enough. It's about a little over 1.5 inch screw. So now I can grab really a thin wire to pull this down. Well, let me just show you, I guess. Now when I put this thin wire on this branch, I'm going to actually use a little bit of padding. And this padding is going to be this airline tubing, which you can find at most pet stores. It's in like the aquarium supplies. And what this will do is it'll go around the branch and pad it from the thin wire. If I have some thin wire like this to go around the branch, that is a lot of cutting into the branch that's going to happen, because I'm going to be having to bring this down with some significant force to be able to get that to move. I actually want to wrap around this in a way that's going to spread out the load of the wire. So let me cut a piece that's roughly going to be the length that I need. And this stuff's super cheap, so I'm going to go around from the bottom and over the top. And then what I get is that sort of thing. So when I run the wire through that, I have several positions where it's going to actually be spreading out the load on that branch. So I'm going to measure the length between here and the attachment point below. So I'm going to measure between the branch attachment point and the screw point down here. I'm going to measure one length of that, and I'm just using my handy measuring tool, which is my wire cutters. So I need about 1 wire cutter and a half to get between there. So I'm going to double the wire when I do this. So what that does is I can thread the wire through about the halfway mark. And the pathway I'm going to take is going to go under the branch, over the top of it, and between this crook. Looks something like that. Now I'm going to take this and hope that it reaches down to this screw. And I am a little short, but you know what? That's okay, because I'm going to be pulling this down. So that's going to get closer. So here's what I'm going to do to get that ready. I'm actually going to take the ends of this wire. I'm going to twist them together. I just twisted just enough of this wire so that I can place it on the screw when I get down there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take down to this screw down here, and I'm going to put this wire onto that. It looks something like this. Okay, so even without tightening this very much, I've already spread that branch out quite a bit. So that branch used to be the way the one next to it was, sticking up quite a bit. I think that's probably as far out as I want to go. So all I'm going to do is just kind of twist that wire together to give it a nice clean look, and that's it for that one. And I'm going to continue on with the rest of them. As I go with these branches, I'll continue to place screws where I need to, but I'm going to try to use the same screw points as much as possible. I'm also going to be attaching to the guy wires from the other branches some, so I have the least amount of clutter on here. Now the reason why I'm going to the trunk instead of this pot, even though the pot is junky, it's a fiberglass pot that has some broken edges on it, is I'm going to be transplanting this in spring. And I don't know if I'm going to be ready to take off the wires at that point. So I'm going to just give it the nice spread, open up that canopy some, make it a little bit more tree-like instead of bush-like. That is ready to use some force on it. The way I'm going to do my force on this is use some sort of wires. I go to my burlier, some sort of pliers. I'm going to go to my burlier pliers here that really have great grip. And I'm going to figure out how I'm going to pull this down and bend it. So these pliers allow me to pull away from the attachment point, and I'm also going to put a little bit of downward pressure on this branch. Experience tells me that I can bend this a little ways. If I do happen to get a little bit of a crack developed, it's going to be okay because I'm just going to go and bandage that up, and it will heal. I have cracked some of these other branches and they've healed quite nicely. So it doesn't take a whole lot, but I'm kind of trying to go for a similar angle on most of these branches. This one goes out quite a bit. I'm going to get this one out a little bit more too. Okay, now that one really spreads the canopy out quite a bit more, and I'm really happy with that. I'm going to twist that together. This guy does not have any sort of crook. It does have sort of a flat spot right here, and I want to bend that roughly from this point. If I go too far forward of that, this will most likely snap off. So I need to see if I can get the wire to kind of post up right here and go over it. For this branch, I'm not going to need to use any more attachment points as I have some that are really handy right here. Really all I need to focus on is how do I safely attach wire to this branch. Alright, so I was able to find a good attachment point right here. On this flat spot that it's at, I'm in a really good position. Now one of the good things about twisting these wires together is if this is spread out, it could potentially spring back and lose its attachment point, which I don't want. I want it to stay there. So the good thing is when I twist these, like so, it twists all the way up to that attachment point on the branch, and it'll allow that to grip into place, especially with this padding that's on it. Provides a little bit more traction on the branch. It kind of spins into place. Now this one echoes this branch next to it and has kind of an out and then up sort of look. which is okay. Works for me. What I don't want on this branch is anything that's going down. It just wants to grow up, and in the wild or in the landscape you would see these growing upwards quite a bit. I just kind of tuck them in. Also, the color of these screws is nice because it's not really like a bright shiny stainless steel or gold sort of screw. These are decking screws. These decking screws are made to go onto treated wood, and they're also made to last outdoors for a long period of time. All right. We've gotten all of this bottom layer done, and the canopy is really starting to spread out, so I'm getting to be really happy with that. I'm going to continue on to the next branch. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends, all those fun things. You could also look in the description for my Instagram feed. I look forward to providing more knowledge when I can, showing you my collection, things that I'm excited about, such as this beech getting its first bonsai pot in spring. There's a lot more to come. Thank you for watching.